Recorded Books and One Click Digital present Lone Rider by B.J. Daniels. Narrated by Graham Winton. Chapter 1. The moment Jace Calder saw his sister's face, he feared the worst. His heart sank. Emily, his troubled little sister, had been doing so well since she'd gotten the job at the Sarah Hamilton Foundation in Big Timber, Montana. "What's wrong?" he asked as he removed his Stetson, pulled up a chair at the Big Timber Java coffee shop, and sat down across from her. Tossing his hat on the seat of an adjacent chair, he braced himself for bad news. Emily blinked her big blue eyes. Even though she was closing in on 25, he often caught glimpses of the girl she'd been. Her pixie cut, once a dark brown like his own hair, was dyed black. From 13 on, she'd been piercing anything she could. At 16, she'd begun getting tattoos and drinking. It wasn't until she'd turned 17 that she'd run away, taken up with a 30-year-old biker, drug dealer, thief, and ended up in jail for the first time. But while Emily still had the tattoos and the piercings, she'd changed after the birth of her daughter, and after snagging this job with Bo Hamilton. "What's wrong is Bo," his sister said. Bo had insisted her employees at the foundation call her by her first name. "Pretty cool for a boss, huh?" his sister had said at the time. He'd been surprised. That didn't sound like the woman he knew. But who knew what was in Bo's head lately? 4 months ago, her mother, Sarah, who everyone believed dead the past 22 years, had suddenly shown up out of nowhere. According to what he'd read in the papers, Sarah had no memory of the past 22 years. He'd been worried it would hurt the foundation named for her, not to mention what a shock it must have been for Bo. Emily leaned toward him and whispered, "She's gone." "Gone?" "Before she left Friday, she told me that she would be back by 10 this morning. She hasn't shown up, and no one knows where she is." That did sound like the Bo Hamilton he knew. The thought of her kicked up that old ache inside him. He'd been glad when Emily had found a job in town and moved back to town with her baby girl. But he'd often wished her employer had been anyone but Bo Hamilton, the woman he'd once asked to marry him. He'd spent the past 5 years avoiding Bo, which wasn't easy in a county as small as Sweetgrass. Crossing paths with her, even after 5 years, still hurt. It riled him in a way that only made him mad at himself for letting her get to him after all this time. "What do you mean, gone?" he asked now. Emily looked pained. "I probably shouldn't be telling you this." "Em," he said impatiently. She'd been doing so well at this job, and she'd really turned her life around. He couldn't bear the thought that Bo's disappearance might derail her second chance. Em's 3-year-old daughter Jody desperately needed her mom to stay on track. Leaning closer in, she whispered, "Apparently, there are funds missing from the foundation. An auditor's been going over all the records since Friday." He sat back in surprise. No matter what he thought of Bo, he'd never imagined this. The woman was already rich. She wouldn't need to divert funds. "And that's not the worst of it," Emily said. "I was told she's on a camping trip in the mountains." "So she isn't really gone?" Em waved a hand. "She took her camping gear, saddled up, and left Saturday afternoon. Apparently she's the one who called the auditor, so she knew he would be finished and wanting to talk to her this morning." Jace considered this news. If Bo really were on the run with the money, wouldn't she take her passport and her SUV as far as the nearest airport? But why would she run at all? He doubted Bo had ever had a problem that her daddy, the senator, hadn't fixed for her. She'd always had a safety net, unlike him. He'd been on his own since 18. He'd been a senior in high school, struggling to pay the bills, hang on to the ranch, and raise his wild kid sister after his parents had been killed in a small plane crash. He'd managed to save the ranch, but he hadn't been equipped to raise Emily and had made his share of mistakes. A few months ago, his sister had gotten out of jail and gone to work for Bo. He'd been surprised she'd given Emily a chance. He'd had to readjust his opinion of Bo, but only a little. Now this. There has...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?